when you are editing winds, you can also do different things. First, you can do verification, how the models are performing. So you compare your models against the observations. And then you can do model blending. And remember that high-resolution models tend to have a better capability of presenting winds as it takes more details into account. So model blending is one thing you can do. And always remember to visualize the parameter you are changing. So we can, for example, try to edit according to topography again. So if topography is higher than 500 meters, we can increase the wind speed, so WS, by 10%. So this is once again mathematics. So you add 10% if you multiply your parameter by 1.10. And let's see what happens. We should see some changes over here. I will be running it to the whole time, so I will click this arrow here. So let's see what happens when I execute. Nothing. We get an error. And the reason is that we are not having these braces as we are supposed to have. So let's try again. Now it works. And you can also see some changes here. So let's undo it. Yep, definitely some colors are changing. And then redo. Now I can clearly see that the wind has been intensified over these areas. Another way of manipulating the winds would be also along the coastlines. Especially in Finland, we have a lot of coastlines, and also overall in Scandinavia, we have a lot of coasts. So we can use the static variables called dist_sea and dist_land. Now that I want to increase the wind speed over the land, I'm going to use the variable dist_sea, so distance to sea. And now, when the distance to sea is over 0, so we are on land, and it's less than 2 kilometers. So we are very close to the coastline. I will increase the wind speed by 2 meters per second. So I can choose, for example, just daytime, and let's see how it goes. Now I can clearly see that something changed here. If I zoom in so that the change is more visible, and then undo and redo, you can see how it changed. You can also edit gust speed. So it's called gust, and you can edit it just like any other parameter. When editing wind gust speed, it might be a good idea to include some calculations from vertical levels, for example, as well, so that you can look for boundary layer and some instability conditions. So, for example, in stable conditions, wind gusts are weaker. One example is here. So we are using vertical level information for the boundary layer, looking for the inversion layers, so the transition zones for temperature. And then we are calculating temperature differences. We're calculating lapse rates, so instability. And finally can come up with the calculations of gusts. Also in this script, topography is taken into account. So along with probability of thunder and probability of precipitation editing, this is also quite country specific, because you might have higher terrain, lower terrain, coast areas, and so on. So the method is trial and error in this case as well. And remember, your macro doesn't have to be ready in one day. Also, even though the order in which the editing should be done is precipitation, total cloud cover, temperature, and the others, it might be a good idea in some special cases to do wind speed editing before temperature editing, especially in cases if you want to decrease nighttime temperatures. When it's wintertime, high pressure system, there is a potential for inversion layer close to the ground, which means that winds are very weak, and in that case you can make temperature changes using this information about slow wind speeds in your macro. And after you have edited all the parameters you want to edit, you can check the data using this data quality checking tool. And then when everything is green, you can send the data to database.